Hey there, my Stampin' friends. Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. So I have a card I'm going to show you today. This one is to play with the Freshly Made Sketches, sketch 632, and as you can see it's a pretty basic sketch. Just the base card, a little background, and then a focal point on the front. So I created this card with some new items that I have. I used the Under the Moon to do the background. I used the perennial postage frames to do my little die cut. I have a new embossing folder called Dotted Circles, and then I'm highlighting the beside me for my little front focal point here. So I'm going to take you through the process that I used to make this card so that you can see the steps that I used. Okay, so let's get started. So I decided that my base card would be crumb cake, and I'm using Pacific Point as my blue in my water. So that's going to go on front. So all I did to start was I have a 4 1/4 by 11 sheet of cardstock. I'm going to fold that in half and give it a good crease. So this is going to be my base card. And then I have a 4 1/4 wide in the blueberry bushel, and it's 3.5 inches tall. And I'm just going to adhere that to the front of my card. So that's the second part of the sketch, right? A little background panel that goes across. I'm going to leave some of that crumb cake on the top and the bottom. Okay, now comes in our embossing folder. So this is a new embossing folder from the new catalog, if I can get it here. Dotted Circles. Now this is a huge embossing folder. I was really surprised by the size of it when it came. So it fits on the whole platform of our Stampin' Emboss machine. And so what I did was I took my card, I put my crease there on the end, then just put it in and roll it through, and I come back with this one that is all finished. So I've got that texture on both layers, the blue and the crumb cake, as my background panel. So I thought that was kind of nice, bold pattern to use on the background piece, other than just plain cardstock. Okay, so from there I have to do my focal image. So I have a piece of basic white, and this started out at 3 3/4 by 4 3/4, and I use my perennial postage frames, which is new to me. Again, it came out in the spring catalog and will carry forward into the next one, and I just die cut myself a textured outline panel. So there's that. So then I'm going to do my background stamping. So this is where my Under the Moon stamp set comes in. And this is new for the new catalog too. And I've used it a couple times already, and I'm really enjoying it. Okay, so we're going to do some background stamping. So first I'm going to start with crumb cake. So crumb cake is going to be my sand. So I'm going to be using this image, which you might see as water, and that's fine. That's the way I see it too. But I'm going to use it to do my sand first. So I'm going to take my piece and put my grid paper so it's square, and then I've got a nice straight edge on the stamp, so I'm just going to come in here and wherever you decide and stamp it down, and that's the beginning of my horizon line. Now I'm going to stamp it again, and I'm going to flip it over, right? First time I did it this way, now I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to overlap a little, and I'm going to try to line up that horizon line again. Good thing I can see through my stamp. Okay, and then we're just going to repeat the process. I'm going to alternate what goes where. It's okay if your lines overlap a little bit, or if some of it's lighter than the others. I'm just creating the sandy beach for my background. Now I am going to clean that because I'm going to switch colors to do the water. So real quick, I'm going to spritz and wash this off so that I can have a nice clean stamp when I switch and work with the blue. Okay, so now I've got balmy blue, and I've also got blueberry bushel. So what I'm going to do is open up my balmy blue and open up my blueberry bushel. Now, there's a couple of different ways you could do this, but I'll show you the one I use today. Alright, so I'm going to stamp the full stamp in my balmy blue, which is my lighter blue. Okay, and then I'm just going to tap the edge of my stamp in the darker blue. Just tap it. So I didn't put the whole thing down. I'm just kind of rocking or tapping that edge. So I got a little darker blue on that edge. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to stamp this above the sand and off to the side so that when I put it down I'll have solid blue on my edge. Okay, and I've got that darker blue at the top, and I'm just going to repeat that again. Okay, and I'm just going to line this up and overlap it a little bit so that my horizon line is going across. My sand and my beach water coordinate, and that's how I got my beach and my water line. Okay, then I'm going to use the balmy blue and I'm going to stamp in some clouds. So I'm just going to put these above the horizon. Alright, and then I'm going to go back to using my blueberry bushel and I'm going to add the sailboat out in the open water. So there's all that. So there's my background stamping, which really you could use that just like that without doing any further embellishing to the card. If you really wanted to, you could add a sentiment and be on your way, because this could just go right on there, right? And you could have your little beach scene nice and calm and add a little sentiment. But I want to step further. I'm going to add the father and the little boy. So now what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to stamp with the crumb cake the image right down here on my sand. Okay, so this is kind of going to give me placement. It's also going to give me the stamp around their feet where it kind of shows, you know, standing in the sand, a little bit of texture there. Now what I'm going to do, and I've already done it, is I've stamped with Memento on a piece of basic white, and I've trimmed it out with my paper snips. So I've already got it all stamped and trimmed out. But now I'm going to color it with my blends, and I picked some bold colors. So let's see, I've got Bermuda Bay, and I've got Berry Burst. So I figure I always dress my kids in really bright colors so I can find them when they're at the beach. So I gave Dad the Bermuda Bay. So I'm just going to do his shorts with the darker one. Take your time doing the edging, and then you can just color it in with a couple of brush strokes. There's my edging, and then I'm just going to finish off the inside. And remember, when you do your blends, first stamp with the Memento for your image, and then you can either use the paintbrush tip or the thin tip to do your coloring. So whichever way you feel more comfortable. If you want to edge with a thin tip and then color the center with the wide, totally your prerogative. So I'm just coloring this in like that. Dad's in the two-tone, and then I put the little boy or the little girl in the Berry Burst, and so I'm going to do the shorts. I always put my kids in really bright colors so I wouldn't lose them. So I've got the shorts, and then I'm just going to do his little cap sleeves, and I'm going to do his hat. Okay, and then if you ever notice they like to do two-tone colors with kids' swim shirts, so I'm going to do the center of the shirt with the black. So this is where you can really go about any colors you want to put in there that may be your favorites or the child's favorite. You can really individualize the project at that point. Okay, so there are their clothes and attire for the day. Then I'm going to use light crumb cake. I'm going to color all the skin, and I'm not going to really worry about going off the edge either, because when I trim this out, I have a little white ghost along the edge. Now usually I would tell you to go back in and edge it with a black ink or black marker. I do that in my scrapbooks. I edge all my photos after I cut them to get rid of that little white edge. But in this case, we're setting this down on a sandy scene. So I can just color right in here with my light crumb cake right off the edges. Now, to add a little bit of contrast. I'm going to give Dad some dark hair, and then I'm going to go back in with my crumb cake again. This time I'm going to use my darker crumb cake, and I'm going to do just their skin tone, right? Because if you spent a week at the beach, you're going to be a little bit tan, maybe. Unlike me, I don't tan. I burn, I peel, I'm white again, but some people are lucky enough to come home with a tan. So we'll give them a little bit of a tan for contrast. Now, you could just go back over it with your light crumb cake again, give it another layer of ink, and you would get the same effect. So, again, however you want to color in your image, you can do that. Alright, so there is the process of creating the landscape and then our focal image, and now we just need to put it all together. So I'm going to put my background on with liquid adhesive, and then I'm going to pop up my boys here with dimensionals. So I'm just going to press that down. And then I'm going to pop this over and put some dimensionals on here to support it. Peel that off and put that right in here. And so see, by stamping that underneath, I've got, it looks like they're standing in the sand, right? The sand is wet around their feet, and I've got my image. So, I hope you enjoyed that. Again, it's for the Freshly Made Sketches sketch 632. What am I thinking? 632. And please leave me comments. Let me know you stopped by if you enjoyed it. If you like this new Under the Moon set, it's in the new catalog, so you can get that in May. And I hope you are inspired to give your own background stamping today. Alright guys, do some fun stamping. I'll share again with you soon. And until then, have a great day. Bye.